What's going on, everybody? Time to talk about some tight ends here. Now, this tight end class is, in my opinion, really not the best. You're going to see I have kind of a collection of guys that, you could really rank in any order. So if you walk away feeling a little unsatisfied with this video, it's my apologies. And then because I really don't think it is a deep class, we are just going to really focus on the top 5. We'll run through 6 through 10 quickly, but this is going to be a shorter video than my other prospect videos that I've done to this point. Just a reminder, you'll see an impact grade, which is like their Madden rating, how good I think they'll be right away, their potential rating, and then an overall grade, which is just sort of their prospect grade. And then, of course, just a reminder, you can get my draft board through Patreon or PayPal. Over 400 prospects, not just top 10 rankings, but really diving deep into every position. Check the description for that. So let's get into the number 1 tight end here. Again, all these top 5 guys, all really close, but I do have Hayden Hurst number 1. There's a collection of really good athletes up here, but Hurst is the one that will block and catch really well. He's the guy that I think has the clearest path to being a top 10 tight end. I think a lot of these guys I'm going to compare to like Zach Miller as a average starting tight end who can block a little bit, receive a little bit, but is really never going to be elite in any one category, in my opinion. So Hurst definitely falls into that. He's going to be somewhere between Zach Miller and like Greg Olsen. He does have that upside. That's why he's number 1 here. But the thing with Hurst is former professional baseball player. He's born in 1993. So he's going to be 25 when this season starts. And you see him mocked into the first round. Personally, it's just the upside isn't quite there in the first round for an older guy. So I like Hurst, but really more in like the second to even third round. And that's going to be a trend with a lot of these tight ends here. So number 2, I do have Mark Andrews. And now his upside isn't as high as some of these upcoming guys. There's probably one player, a certain guy out of Penn State that you're thinking crazy upside here. But Mark Andrews, the thing I like about him and why he's number 2 here is he blocks, man. He's a big tight end, 6'5", 256. Really helped that Oklahoma team have some success in the run game this year. But he's fast for his size, 4.67 40 time. He's going to be able to create some separation. I don't think he's ever going to be an elite receiver. I think he moves kind of stiff, but he is a pretty damn good athlete for his size. I think he's got that second, third round value as a guy who projects as a starting tight end in this league. I just have a hard time seeing him really take that next step as a receiver to become a Rob Gronkowski, really elite Travis Kelce type who's not just an exceptional athlete, which Mark Andrews isn't quite that high, but will also block. Andrews does have the blocking element to his game, which I like. And then at number 3 here, a guy who is also high because of that blocking ability, and it's Troy Fumagali out of Wisconsin. Technically sound, he is the best run blocker in this class. Really no surprise coming out of Wisconsin there. He's missing a finger on his left hand, I think, which I know a lot of scouts are concerned about what that does for his upside as a receiver. He has really good hands. In fact, this picture here that you see is from his bowl game in 2016. He actually one-handed a ball with that hand, so I really don't think it's going to impact his catching ability that much, maybe a little bit. The reason he's not number 1 for me is the athletic upside. I don't think he's 4 or 5 fast. He did not run at his pro day. He's dealing with an injury. So, 6'5", 247 is a good build. It's an athletic build, and I think he's quicker than fast. He's going to be able to convert third downs and create some separation in short distances. I think he's going to be a hell of a red zone threat as well, but I really like the blocking. He's another one of these guys I would compare to a Zach Miller here. And, second, third round talent. So, I may actually like Fumagali's overall game better. I think he's probably the most refined tight end coming in, with the blocking and good route running ability as a tight end and good hands. Just that upside, a little bit of that is the finger, but it's more about just the overall athleticism. And then number 4, I've got the highest upside tight end in the class, Mike Gesicki. Everyone's going to love this guy coming out after that combine he had. I mean, he's basically as athletic as a good receiver. Runs a 4.54, good 3-cone and shuttle scores, a crazy vertical and broad jump. Like, this guy is a top 1% athlete type of dude. Now on film, He doesn't block. He's definitely going to have to learn how to do that, or he's just going to have to be an oversized slot receiver like Trey Burton or Evan Ingram, I guess. But he's got a little more girth to him to learn how to block, but definitely not there yet. I mean, he's got the athleticism. There's no doubt there. He does have the ability to go over people and make contested catches. He was really good as a receiver in college, as a receiving tight end, that is. Really no complaints about his hands at all. He's going to have room to grow as a route runner for sure. He definitely has more upside to stretch the field and really be used all over the place than any tight end in this class. Just maybe a little more raw, going to have to learn how to do those things. Perhaps a little more than like a Hayden Hurst, who I think was a little more efficient and just overall better in college. Could probably say the same thing about Mark Andrews as well. But Gesicki, you're looking at him in the second to third round as a high upside tight end pick. Ideally, though, I don't think you want him to be your number one tight end right away. That probably isn't going to work out. He's pretty raw as far as I'm concerned. Then number 5, we got Dallas Goedert here out of South Dakota State. Now, he's just a really balanced tight end. We don't have any workout scores, so we don't really know what type of athlete he is. He seems like a pretty smooth athlete to me. Average speed for a tight end, good shiftiness, I guess, for the position. He's not a shifty guy by any means, but he does move well. And he blocks, which is definitely an upside there. Probably more ready to come in and contribute than a guy like Gesicki. Goedert's definitely one of the safer guys in this class. I think a lot of people are attracted to that about him because tight end really is not an easy position to learn, and he seems pretty polished coming out. Personally, I just like the overall upside a little bit more than Goedert, but if you really look at these numbers, I have these guys really neck and neck, 1 through 5, and I honestly don't have much of a preference. Now, before we get into 6 through 10 here, I will say there's a lot of people mocking these guys into the first round. I talked about Hayden Hurst and why I don't think that's necessarily a good fit for him at his age, but really any of these guys, they have enough question marks for me to really stay away from them in the first round. And there's the fact that there's not a big gap between any of these guys. So if you take Gesicki at the end of the first round, there's probably a chance that you could have waited and gotten someone like Mark Andrews or Hurst in the second. Now, it might not be the best example because you might love that upside of Mike Gesicki, but I think you get my point. There's really no one that separates themselves that I think is worth reaching for. I think you just kind of see how it plays out if you do need a tight end. And maybe I'm just low on this tight end class in general, and I'd be interested to see what you guys think about that because I really am seeing multiple tight ends in the first round in a lot of mock drafts, and I just don't see that personally. So let's get through the rest of this list here. At number 6, I got Dalton Schultz, who is kind of in a happy ground here between those top 5 and then the next guys on this list. I think he definitely is ready to play right away. He's a little small, 6'5", 244, but not really a concern there. Pretty good athlete, solid hands, he'll block. He actually kind of reminds me of Jason Witten a little bit. Uh-oh, here come the Cowboys fans. I'm sorry, Jason Witten has never been a game-breaking tight end. A guy that's going to move the chains, be okay in the red zone, and contribute in the blocking game, but never really going to be elite in any category. So, if you're talking about Dalton Schultz in the third or Dallas Goedert in the first, it's a no-brainer for me. I'm going to take Dalton Schultz in the third. Then at number 7, we got Chris Herndon out of Miami. I haven't quite gotten workout grades from him yet, if he even did anything at his pro day, but he's a high upside pick kind of guy, big athlete, sort of that Dwayne Allen comparison for me. He's probably not super fast, but is going to be able to catch the ball, at least average, and then pretty tough after the catch, a tough guy to bring down. I don't think he's going to be creating a ton of separation, but he blocks as well, which is why I gave him the Dwayne Allen comparison. 4th to 5th round there for me for Herndon. And then at 8, I got Durham Smythe, or Smithy. I don't know how to say that last name, to be honest. He's kind of an intriguing guy because 6'5", 230, so he's a little undersized, could get a little bigger and become an even better blocker, but he blocked pretty well for his size. And you'll notice I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the blocking for these guys. Big reason for that is I don't think there's a lot of great receiving threats out of this tight end class, so you're going to be looking at a lot of potentially tight end 2s that are going to need to be better blockers than receivers anyway. I think Smythe falls right into that category. He's a guy who can come in and block for you right away. Not a bad receiver by any means, but you're not taking him with the upside to be a number 1 tight end. You're taking him to be that number 2 guy that is actually a pretty valuable role in this league, and it's not a bad thing to look for. And then number 9, I've got Ian Thomas. Some people are crazy high on him. I don't see it. I've seen him mocked in the first round, which really confuses me. A lot of people compare him to like really athletic receiving tight ends. Guys like Eric Ebron, I think I've seen comparisons for. He's not that fast. You know, he's a willing blocker, but not a very technical one. 6'4", 259. That's pretty heavy. He doesn't move great. I mean, he's does have some good athleticism. You know, he is one of the faster guys in this class, which maybe that's why people are intrigued by him, but you're totally reaching, in my opinion. Just because it's not an overly athletic group of tight ends, it doesn't mean you should reach for a guy that, to me, is a worse prospect than, say, last year, than Jonnu Smith, who the Titans got, or Michael Roberts for the Lions, who were mid-round picks, who barely made an impact as rookies. You know, I think he's probably around that range. He's going to have to learn how to block better. Could be a good receiving threat, but not a guy I'm picking to be my starting tight end in the first or second round. Definitely not. And my last guy on this list, intriguing guy, showed like Jordan Reed flashes at Florida. Really inconsistent, though. Really good athlete. Probably the fastest guy in this group outside of Gesicki. 6'4", 240. I don't have a 40 time for him, but, you know, a smooth athlete. Maybe not the best high-end speed, but probably the best catch and run tight end in this draft. You know, I think he's a really poor man's Jordan Reed at this moment. And that's really it for this tight end class. I told you it's not going to be super exciting. I don't really love any of these guys. I think there's a few starters in this group for sure there at the top. But I don't see any of these guys having a clear path to being an all-pro tight end like a Travis Kelce or Rob Gronkowski, who really, you know, broke out in their first or second year. You know, I think the best case scenario we see here is Hayden Hurst becoming like Hunter Henry, I think is a decent comparison there. And Hunter Henry has emerged as one of the game's best tight ends, but, you know, Hurst, if he took 3 years to get there, he'd be 28 by the time he's really at that level. So that's my take on the tight end class. I'm excited to hear what you guys think about this tight end class. If you think I'm totally off and think there's first round talent here that I'm missing, maybe point me towards a game that I need to rewatch or something. Again, do consider the draft board in the description there, PayPal, Patreon. Appreciate you guys as always. We'll be moving on to defensive top 10 lists here later on this week. Looking forward to that. Cheers. We'll see you next time.